Welcome. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and getting ready to have a Happy New Year. This is SNT's 10 in 10, where you get the top 10 space news stories in less than 10 minutes. Our end of year special features.
Where are we at with Blue Origin? What's going on Jupiter? Communicating with aliens? Status of stranded astronauts Sonny and Butch. And China. Stand by for this and more on this week's edition of SNT.
60 seconds.
This week, coming in at number 10, China experiences a RUD, a rapid unscheduled disassembly of CAS's Space Kinetica-1 solid motor rocket on Thursday, December 26, 2024. Something went amok on the third stage after the first two stages were working nominally. CAS is developing a kerosene oxygen-fueled rocket, which is currently in development. The Kinetica-2 that intends to replace Kinetica-1. This week, coming in at number 9, NASA announced on December 20th that it had awarded task orders to Intuitive Machine, Kongsberg Satellite Services, KSAT, and SSC Space, US, and Viasat to provide services to support NASA's Near Space Network, NSN, which provides communications for missions extending out to 2 million kilometers from the Earth. Interestingly enough, according to X account Quiver Quantitative, former Democrat Party chairwoman, Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, purchased a large amount of Viasat stock in November just prior to this announcement. Coming in this week at number 8, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory announced on their website that their Deep Space Communication Station 23 was topped with its 133-ton transmitter-receiver dish on December 18, 2024. This comms array is located near Barstow, California at NASA's Goldstone Deep Space Communication Complex. This deep space communication antenna will enable NASA to communicate and retrieve data from missions to the moon, Mars, and beyond. Coming in at number 7 this week, last week we had mentioned Firefly Space's Blue Ghost lander that is slated to fly an unnamed mission to the moon in 2025. One of the scientific payloads it'll be carrying is the RAC, the Regolith Adherence Characterization Study. This experiment will test the regolith adherence of numerous materials and compare their performance. This experiment will be used to make final determinations on the EVA lunar spacesuit materials selection process. The Apollo 17 lunar surface astronauts completed over 75 hours of EVA. We know from many of the later Apollo missions that lunar regolith creates a multitude of issues on EVA suits. Examination of the joints in both Apollo 17 astronaut suits determined there were several areas of grave concern where the regolith eroded critical points in their suits. Lunar regolith is ionically charged. It's very abrasive. The lunar regolith is a key problem to solve for long endurance lunar expeditions. So this RAC experiment carried by the Blue Ghost is of critical importance to the success of future missions to both the moon and Mars. Ironically, in the photo you see here, which is Eugene Cernan from Apollo 17, was taken December 14th, 1972, when I was 1.5 years old. His face and suit are dirty with lunar regolith. This week, coming in at number 6, according to NASA, on December 20th, George Sparber, the ambassador for the small nation of Liechtenstein, has signed the Artemis Accords. The Artemis Accords are an international cooperative agreement for transparency of scientific discovery on the moon in an attempt to ensure that scientific missions benefit all of humanity. Liechtenstein was the 52nd nation to sign the accords. This week, coming in at number 5, stranded Boeing astronauts aboard the ISS send Christmas wishes back to Earth. Sonny looks good. The 3 Russian cosmonauts up there with the 4 American astronauts did not appear in the video, which NASA published on X, as well as other media sites. This week, coming in at number 4, hobbyist astronomer Michael Ferrer of Austria captured this image of storms within the southern red band on Jupiter. These storms are the size of the Earth, and astronomers surmise that they are producing giant green lightning bolts inside Jupiter's atmosphere. The photo was taken with a consumer-grade 8-inch telescope by Celestron. Link to that telescope is in the expanded description box, so you too can explore space with your family. They're not a sponsor, but I'll be happy to add sponsors. This week, coming in at number 3, on Christmas Eve, the Parker Solar Probe makes closest approach to the Earth's sun than any other man-made object. The scientific probe passed within 3.8 million miles at speeds up to 430,000 miles per hour. During this pass, the spacecraft will endure temperatures exceeding 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Parker Solar Probe did survive its pass and made contact via beacon to mission control at Johns Hopkins University. A more detailed data dump is expected on New Year's Day after the Parker Solar Probe compiles the data it collected. The PSB will reach additional perihelions, close orbital positions, in March and June of 2025. Through this Johns Hopkins University mission, we are learning more about solar winds, storms, coronal ejections, and how our sun works. The Parker Solar Probe was launched aboard ULA Delta Heavy on August 12, 2018. This week, coming in at number 2, between December 23rd and December 30th, there have been 4 more Falcon 9 missions slated, 3 from KSC and 1 from Vandenberg. 3 are Starlink missions and 1 is for Astronomer satellite. If all launches go as scheduled, this will make 134 launches for the Falcon 9 rocket in 2024. This has been the year of the Falcon 9. Even as mid-year second stage woes slowed the launches for a month, SpaceX still bested last year's total of 96 launches, but fell just shy of their projections. We can only surmise that 2025 will hold all sorts of new records for this epic launch system. The Falcon 9 will ride into history as a paradigm shift in rocketry. Video clips here stem from the December 23rd launch of Starlink satellites from Kennedy Space Center.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And finally, coming in at number 1 this week on Friday, December 27th, Blue Origin began what appeared to be a testing campaign of wet dress rehearsal and possible test fire of their NooGlinn rocket at Pad 36. NSF, NASA spaceflight, covered the hours-long test, and they theorized about the processes during the stream. Blue Origin's usual mum's the word standard precludes anyone from really knowing what Blue Origin was trying to test or do. But just after the NSF stream ended, Blue Origin successfully test-fired all 7 of the BE-4 engines on the NooGlinn rocket. This was the last step prior to the tentative launch on January 6, 2025, from Blue Origin's Pad 36 at Kennedy Space Center. Although it has taken much longer than we or Blue Origin would have preferred, it appears that Blue Origin's patient engineering is finally paying off with a test flight of their newest reusable rocket system. It's exciting because SpaceX having a competitor will only result in the two companies trying to best one another. This will result in exponential increases in the pace of rapid iteration in the commercial space race. We are truly living in the most exciting age of spaceflight that ever existed. If only the media knew, right? So I leave you with this unedited cut of Blue Origin's beautiful test fire. Well, that'll wrap up this week's episode, and I leave you with Raptor engines maneuvering to Christmas music. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to everyone. You knew I couldn't leave you an episode without some sort of Starship news. We'll see you next week.
60 seconds.
That's one small step for man,